What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another PSGL video. This time we are on round number 4. I'm sorry it is a little bit late than usual, but I had stuff going on. But we're in round number 4 in Qatar. It's a new track into F13, and this is my first time ever going around it. Well, I had a lot of practice for it, but up until this week, I had never driven around this track. So it is brand new to me, but it's our first time properly doing a race around here, so this should be interesting. Last time out was in Silverstone, where we got our best result of the season so far. It was a P4. It was a little last to first challenge, or last to fourth challenge, as we started P15, P14, and we finished 4th place, which has boosted us up to P7 in the standings. So one big result, we get a chunk of points. We're up to P7 in the standings, and it's also helped us out in the constructors as well, as we go up to P2 after Miller the Driller took the victory as well. So a fantastic weekend, or a fantastic race for Williams, as we get P1 and P4, which is a huge chunk of points in the championship. Miller the Driller, he can maybe pursue his goal to win the Drivers' Championship, and we could also fight with the constructors as well, although that Nogueira in Alfa Romeo looks pretty unbeatable right now. Well, up until that Silverstone race, because he was beaten, but he is very, very fast, very, very consistent, and he finished second, so he's got a P1, and a P2, so he's miles ahead in the championship. But I think we can maybe compete with him in the constructors. I've just got to work my shit out, you know. I'm just very inconsistent, especially in qualifying. In the race, I seem to be a lot better. In qualifying, I'm a bit stinky. I have a bit of a mare every now and then. And Qatar is one of those where track limits is a big issue. So you want to get that banker in. So we're going to try and get that banker in. But at the same time, I really do struggle with track limits, as you can see right there. So 2 laps now invalidated around Qatar due to track limits. I still haven't got a lap in. This is what really frustrates it about me as we go and invalidate another lap. On qualifying, I want everything to be perfect. I want to put in the best possible lap time. I don't take it safe. I don't know why. I should just take the first lap safe as safe can be. Make sure you get a time on the board, get a banker, and then push the next 2. And if you invalidate the next 2, at least you have 1 on the board type thing. But I always want to push it as much as I can every lap, and I think that's what's costing me, especially in qualifying, as this first sector looks pretty neat and tidy. 7 tenths up of the Aston Martin in front of us, as we have a little bit of a moment, lose the rear just a little bit on the exit. And that seemed to be a corner that I was struggling a lot in. Everywhere else is very high speed, so you need a lot of downforce. But that low speed corner was causing me a bit of problems, as we are still within the track limits. So we're in the track limits. We're doing a good job so far. Can we actually get a time on the board? Otherwise, we'll be starting dead last, as the next 3 corners are all fast right-handers, as we're almost a second up on the Aston Martin up ahead. It was an okay middle sector, not the best. Now it's another fast left-hander. We don't hit it too perfect, and it was more me being safe. I was like, look, I'm going to be safe. I'm going to get a lap on the board, and we're going to make sure that we don't start dead last here in Qatar. We don't make the same mistake that we've made before. So up to the line, we are finally going to get a lap in. It's a 22.0. It's not the greatest time. I've done a mid-21 in practice, so a little disappointed there. But when you look at the standings of the qualifying, I could have probably made up 1 more place, maybe. 1 more place, I reckon I could have done a 21.5. I don't think I could have done much better than 9th place. So at the end of the day, I will take P10, as I'm usually much better in the race as well. I do well at staying away from track penalties, and track limit penalties seem to be a big issue for a lot of people in this league. So 30 laps or whatever, you're doing 50% race distance. It is very easy to go over that white line 3 times and get 3 warnings. So if you play it safe, usually it works out for you, and you can get in the points that way. But we're going to focus on Qatar. We're going to go from the hards to the mediums, and we're going to drop the fuel load, because I have no idea how much fuel you should have. So we're going to go about 1 over, at least. It looks like we're going to drop it. Brilliant. So Qatar, it's a really, you use a lot of fuel around here. You use a lot, you lose a lot, and we've only gone half a lap over, which is a big mistake, as you're going to see later on in the video. You probably need at least 1.5 to 2 laps over. unless a safety car comes out, and then you kind of get saved a little bit because you do use a lot of fuel. But we're getting ready to get underway here in Qatar. It is 5 red lights starting from P10, and away we go on the hard tyres. You can see we've got an Aston Martin behind us on the softs. Interesting choice because there's a lot of tyre deg around Qatar, so those softs will be gone within a few laps as we're trying to stay out of trouble. We get a little nudge from behind. I'm not sure who it was, but we keep our car intact and we're still on the road, so that's a good sign. First couple of corners we've got through, but we're trying to get our elbows out. We don't want to be no pushover in that first lap, but at the same time we don't want to be losing positions either. We've held on to P10. Can we have a look at the inside of that Alpine? No, we're not going to just yet. We're going to hold on to that P10. We've got the Aston Martin behind. Look at it at a move. We're going to go around the outside almost to just defend our position as we have a bit of a moment, and that's cost the Aston behind, and that's allowed the Mercedes of Zettany to get on through on those softs. So now we've got 2 soft runners behind us. The last thing we are going to do is battle with these soft runners. We're going to let them go, let them run their race, and we will run ours as we go a little bit wide there, and that's going to allow the Mercedes to get right onto the back of us. And I tell you what, he's going to dump his ERS and he's going to say, see you later. So see you later, mate. Have a good time. Down the inside he goes. We're at P11. It's a decent start. We got no damage. I mean, that's pretty much all you could ask for. Don't get damaged. Try and hold position, and it's not a bad first lap. And I think everybody else has got away cleanly as well. You can see on the mini-map, no one is too far behind. So everybody having a good start, a good first lap, pretty clean. There's a little bit of contact there. Zettany making his way through the field. He is definitely out of position in that qualifying. He's a driver that should be up there. I think he's finished pretty good in the races so far. He's carrying that Mercedes team. I know he has a couple of podiums already. So as there is a bit of a moment, we see a Ferrari go off. We get a poor exit, and hold on a second, we're going to lose a place to the Aston Martin up ahead, and there's a bit of contact. Around the Aston goes, around we go, and it's tragic. It is tragic. Lap number 2. We've had a nightmare. We've had a second lap incident, not a first lap incident. But I'll be honest, I don't think I was close enough to really touch him. And it all started from this poor exit. We get a lot of oversteer on the exit. We have to correct it. The Aston goes through. And if we slow it down, I mean, we hardly touch him. I don't even know if we do. I think it might have been just a bit of connection problems, because that should not spin him. I didn't think I was close enough to touch him there, to be honest. So I'm sorry to Samuel if it did screw up your race, but that's a bit unfortunate because I don't think we were close. I didn't think we were close enough to make contact and spin like that. It was a crazy. Like you wouldn't expect him to spin like, I don't know. Anyway, well, it was just unlucky. It's cost both of us in the end. So we've dropped down. We're down into P12. He's in P13. Thankfully, no damage for us. He didn't get any damage either. Just a lot of lost time, as we do get a VSC. It's not a safety car. We need a safety car if we want to get back in this race. So a VSC, but it doesn't look like it's going to be upgraded. And you can see people already getting time penalties. We're on lap 6, now lap 9. People are getting time penalties left, right, and centre. You see that Red Bull is 6 seconds worth already. So I'm looking at that. You've got the McLaren behind them, 9 seconds worth. And you see that and you're like, well, if people keep getting track limit penalties like this, just play it safe, keep it in the white lines, and you could find yourself in the points just by not getting any penalties at all. As we do run a little bit wide, lose a bit of time, let off the throttle, and we don't get a warning for that. So we got away with that one, a little bit lucky, and we are closing in on the cars up ahead. You see that Aston Martin on the soft tyres. He is struggling now. I told you he would struggle after a few laps because tyre deg around here is very, very high. I mean, if you watch F1 in real life, you'll know in, what was it? Was it 2020? I think it was, when Valtteri Bottas had that puncher just out of nowhere, as there is a bit of carnage, and a Red Bull coming back on, and he's hit us. We've gone round again 2 times in the first 10 laps. We can't stay out of the wars. This is, it's not going to plan, is it? This is a track where I probably did most of my practice in, and it's going downhill. We get a VSC to help us out, but we got no damage. And you can see the fuel there in the bottom right. It is not good at all. We pretty much try to save fuel already 10 laps in. But so another bit of a moment there. The Red Bull up ahead did stay ahead of us, but he's got big wing damage from that contact he made with us. He was coming back onto the circuit. I don't think he really had too much control of his car, so I don't think there was much point even reporting that incident. And you see he's got big wing damage, so it's kind of cost him a lot more than us. At least we didn't have to pit because of wing damage, but he has. So he's gonna pit at the end of this lap for wing damage. And yeah, he was coming back on, he was coming off the gravel, he probably had little to no control of his car. And our race now is pretty much just lift and coast at the end of these straights, as you're going to hear right here. At the end of this straight, it's a huge lift and coast to try and save the fuel, because we're losing about 0.1 fuel per lap, which is outrageous. We're going to be like 1.5 laps below if we don't fuel save. So we're going to start fuel saving at around before the halfway point. It's ridiculous. And that Zetany guy has just absolutely done us. He's already pit. He's 5-6 seconds up the road and we still have to pit. That's how far behind we are from him. He started behind us as well. So it's tragic. As you see, a McLaren is in a wall. Hold on a second. A safety car has ignited our race. We needed that. We needed that more than anything. Otherwise, the rest of the race, we were going to be lifting and coasting. We were probably going to pit soon as well onto the mediums. So it couldn't have happened at a more perfect time. So we're coming into the pits, put on a set of mediums, we chuck the fuel on lean as well, and I think we're going to have enough fuel to get to the end of the Grand Prix without having to do any more lifting and coasting, which is the biggest relief for me, because I hate lifting and coasting in this game, especially when you have to do it before the halfway mark, because you know it's just going to be a long game. You can't even push. You can't even race how you want to race. You just have to focus on the fuel saving, which is very frustrating. As we're about to get underway, we think we're going, but not quite yet. But now we are, and we actually get a good jump on the Aston Martin down the inside. So we're going to go side by side into turn one. Can we get the move done? Are we going to send it? We're going to play it a little bit cautious. We don't have any spin, any crashes. We don't want any of that. We are in P8, remember, so we're in a points playing position. As the Alpine looks for a move down the inside, he gets a 3-second penalty for it, but we hold on to P8. P8, from where we were, is unbelievable. I can't believe we're sitting in P8. But a couple of crashes, a couple of safety cars, and we're allowed to push on fresh set of tyres as we look for a move down the inside of the Aston, who outbrakes himself. We got to go at him down the inside. He is struggling to stay with the front six. We've got a little bit more pace in him. So if we can find a move on him, catch up to the front six, Casto has got a 9-second penalty as well. With about 11 laps to go, could we be in for a top 6 finish after the way this race has gone? We've had 2 moments early on in the first 10 laps. We've had fuel problems. And all of a sudden, we're looking at a potential top 6 here in PSGL. Could it honestly be our best result of the season? Could we find ourselves on the podium? The front 6 look very close. We've got to get ahead of this Aston Martin, though, because we cannot fall out of that DRS from the front 6, and we have got decent pace. We're feeling the grip on these mediums. We get a good exit. We're going to go for a move down the inside of the Aston Martin. He doesn't defend it too much, but we're going to dump that ERS to make sure we stay ahead of him. And now we've got to push to try and catch up to the front 6 and stay in that DRS. We have to push that little bit extra, and we've got past that one obstacle of that Aston Martin. We're in P7, no track limit penalties, with the car in front as a 9-second penalty. We've just got to stay within 9 seconds of him, and we beat him. Something could be happening here in Qatar, lads. Something could be happening. We're driving well. We're doing a solid. You see the Aston Martin has dropped behind now. We got the Alpine behind us, and we are pushing like crazy to try and get within that 1 second of the AlphaTauri. But of course, we don't want to get any penalties, so we're trying to weigh up our options here. Do we push? We want to push a lot, but not at the expense of going wide and giving ourselves a 3-second penalty or an extra warning towards a 3-second penalty, because I think at this point we have 2 warnings, so we're about 9.5 tenths out as we turn in a little bit too early. And yeah, it's tragic. It's a huge bottle job. I was feeling confident. I was pushing it. I felt I had the pace, and around she goes, and I get a 3-second penalty as well, just to rub salt in the wounds. You can see in the top left, look how close we are. 9.5 tenths. We're in DRS range. I just turn in that little bit too early. Run over those yellow rumble strips, and that's all she wrote. I tried to save it, but pretty much had no chance. And you see the other cars go through. And at that point, I really wanted to retire. I really wanted to retire, just get out the race and call it a day. But when you're in PSGL F13, anything could happen. People have got penalties galore. So I'm looking at the top left right now, and I'm like, if I stay within 6 seconds of that Aston Martin, I'm getting... Oh, wait, no. Well, not 6 seconds. 3 seconds, because he's got 6 seconds. I've got 3 seconds. But I'm looking at it. If I can close that gap down, now he's got 9 seconds. I could be in the points. I'm pretty much in the points as we speak. So we might as well finish the race, pick up some of those scruffy points at the bottom, and as we overtake somebody that crashed, you can see the car ahead has 18 seconds, so we can finish in the top 9 after all of this. Top 9, we'll take a couple points, why not? Every point counts. If you're consistent and you're consistently scoring points each weekend, you're going to go up in the leaderboard. It's how it is, because people don't show up every weekend. People, you know, have stinkers, and we'll take every point we can get. So we're a bit more motivated. We're on to the final lap now, and we find ourselves in P8 after a couple more crashes. That's the beauty about F13, you know. Anything can happen, and you're never out of it until the race is over. But we're closing in on the Aston Martin. It doesn't matter if we overtake him or not, but I tell you what, we want to overtake him for a bit of pride, you know. We want a little bit of a battle, a last lap battle. Could we get him on the run up to the line? He's low on ERS, so are we, but we're closing in at these corners. He is struggling a little bit, and we are right on the tail of the Aston Martin. Can we get P9 on track? We just need a good final corner. We get a very, very good exit. We're right at his tail as we go alongside with the DRS up to the line. We're gonna get the Aston Martin again. It was the same driver in Bahrain that we did that to. This time we do it in Qatar, and we jump up to P7 because Alex in the Ferrari had a bunch of penalties as well. 12 seconds by the looks of it. 12 seconds, 15 seconds. I don't know how many he had, but he had enough for us to jump up into P7. So a good result in the end for... I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. We could have been in that top 6. I reckon without any of those mistakes, a podium was on the cards, which is a little bit frustrating. And Nogueira actually loses his P1 position and drops out of P2 after an incident in those final few laps. Miller the Driller wasn't here today, so he doesn't move up in the standings. We are P8 now, so we've dropped a place, but we did pick up a few points as that Red Bull driver, I don't know how to say his name, but he got his first race win of the season and his first points of the season, and he jumps ahead of me in the standings. So P8, we want to finish in the top 8 in the drivers, and still P2 in the constructors. I reckon we could get P2 in the constructors as well. Middle of the Driller will be back next week in Austria, and if you guys are enjoying this PSGL series, make sure you go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.